Hello students, my name is G. Nikita, M. Pharmacy, Assistant Professor in the Department of the Pharmaceutical Chemistry. So I will deal the Pharmaceutical Inorganic Chemistry for PharmD first years. So today we are going to discuss about the volumetric analysis. So today's topic is volumetric analysis. So in this topic, we will discuss the introduction and the conditions for the volumetric analysis and what are the terms in volumetric analysis, primary standard and the secondary standard, methods of expressing concentration in volumetric analysis, types of titration methods, classification of titrimetric or volumetric method, and what are the references books we are going to follow for this topic. So in this topic we will discuss the introduction and conditions for the volumetric analysis and terms in volumetric analysis, primary and the secondary standard, methods of expressing concentration in volumetric analysis and the types of titration methods, classification of the volumetric methods, and what are the references books we are going to follow for this topic. So in this topic we will discuss the introduction to the analytic chemistry, means what is the analytical chemistry and what is its uses, and its brief introduction about the quantitative and the qualitative analysis, and the brief introduction to the volumetric analysis, conditions for the volumetric analysis, and the terms used in the volumetric analysis, primary and the secondary introduction, means the definition of the primary and secondary introduction with examples, and the methods of expressing concentration in volumetric analysis, and the types of titration methods, and the classification of volumetric methods. So these are the topics we are going to discuss in this unit, that is volumetric analysis. So let's discuss the introduction to the analytical chemistry. So introduction to the analytical chemistry means it is a branch of the chemistry, means it is just a part involved in the chemistry subject. So it is the branch of chemistry which deals with the analysis of the substance. It is mainly divided into two parts. First one is qualitative analysis and second one is quantitative analysis. So analytical chemistry is divided into the two parts, that is quantitative analysis and qualitative analysis. Let's see what is the qualitative analysis and quantitative analysis. So qualitative analysis is concerned with the identification of the constituents present in the chemical substances or the mixture of substances, means qualitative analysis is nothing but it is used to know whatever the substances which are present, means whatever the constituents, means whatever the other substances which are present in the chemical substance or a mixture of these substances. Next, quantitative analysis means it is primarily concerned with the determination of the quantity of the constituents present in a chemical substance or a mixture of substances, means it is mainly used to know the purity of the substance, means how much purity of the substance is used to know. So if you take one of the substance, means in that substance how much purity is there, how much amount of the impurity is there. So for that process we are using the quantitative analysis. See here, the quantitative analysis is carried out mainly for determining the purity of the chemical substances, means how much purity is there for the chemical substances. In order to know the purity percentage, for that process we are using the quantitative analysis. So this method used for determination of purity are called assay methods. So whatever the methods we are using to know the purity of the compound, so that method is called assay methods. So there are many methods for the quantitative analysis, such as volumetric analysis, gravimetry analysis, photometry, electrochemical methods, chromatography methods, and polarimetry methods. So there are many methods used to know the purity of the compounds. See, I will explain again. That first one is the qualitative analysis. So what is the qualitative analysis? Is primarily concerned with the identification of the constants, means whatever the substances are present in the compound. So we can able to identify which substances are, what are the substances are present in the compound. We can able to identify by using the qualitative analysis. Means qualitative means for identification of the substances present in the compound. Qualitative means to find the purity of the compound, means whatever the compound we are taking, for that compound it is used to know the purity of the purity. So is primarily concerned with the determination of quantity of the constants present in the chemical substances or a mixture of substances, and also it is used for determining the purity of the chemical substances. So whatever the process we are using for the determination of the purity is called SA method. So SA method is nothing but it is used to know the purity of the compound. So there are many methods such as volumetric analysis, refractometry, polarimetry, and photometry, chromatographic methods. So these are the many methods which are used to know the purity of the compound. So the volumetric analysis is also known as titrimetric analysis. Next, introduction to the volumetric analysis. So volumetric analysis is a mode of quantitative analysis which is based upon the determination of volume of solution of known concentration required to react quantitatively with the solution of the substance to be analyzed. So volumetric analysis, it is used to know the concentration, unknown concentration of the sample. So for example, if we want a concentration of some solution, that concentration we don't know, we have to identify the unknown concentration of the solution. Means how we can identify the concentration of the solution? By using the known concentration of the solution, we can able to identify the unknown concentration of the solution. So the substances can be analyzed is called titrate. Means the unknown concentration of the solution means the sample, whatever the sample we are taking to know the concentration, no, that is the titrate. The reagent of the known concentration which is added to the solution of the substance to be analyzed is called titrate. Means unknown concentration of the solution is called titrate. The known concentration of the solution is called titrant. See here difference. The titrate, the difference between the titrate and the titrant is nothing but the titrate means unknown concentration of the solution. Means for this solution we have to identify the concentration. So unknown concentration of the solution is the titrate. Known concentration of the solution is the titrant. So in volumetric analysis, two solutions are made to react in the conical flask known as titration flask. Means we have to react the two solution, that is known concentration and unknown concentration. So these two solutions has to make the reaction, means they have to get mixed in a conical flask is known as titration flask. So one of the solution should be taken in the burette. So one solution should be taken in the burette and other should be taken in the titration flask, means nothing but conical flask. Titration flask is a conical flask. So one solution in the burette, another solution in the conical flask. Then the solution from the burette is added to the titration flask is nothing but conical flask. The process of finding out the volume of the titrant required to react completely with the known volume of solution under the analysis is known as titration. So here titration is nothing but just we have to mix the known concentration of the solution with the unknown concentration of the solution. This process is known as titration. So at what point we are going to get the result is known as titration. So the process of finding out the volume of the titrant and required to react completely with the known solution, known volume of the solution is known as titration. So titration means just we have to mix the known concentration and unknown concentration in the conical flask. So that process is known as the titration. See, the end point at which the reaction is completed means at what point we are going to get the result, that point is known as equivalent point or the end point. So at what point we are going to get the result is known as equivalent point or the end point. So in order to recognize the end point means we are using the certain substances called indicators. So these indicators will help to find out the result, whether we got the result or not. These indicators are very useful means by changing the color. So these indicators are mainly used to know whether we got the final result or not by changing the solution color. So in ideal titration, the visual endpoint will coincide with the theoretical endpoint. In practical, a small difference occurs. So difference is termed as titration error. So if any of the changes will be occur means we can able to say it, that there will be the error has been occur in the titration. So the choice of indicator should be such that titration error is as small as possible. So the choice of indicator means if we choose the wrong indicator also we won't get the proper results. See, I will explain again. So volumetric analysis is the quantitative analysis. So it is mainly used to know the whatever the unknown concentration means, for which solution we want to know the concentration means that is the unknown concentration. So for that unknown concentration of the substance, so it is used to know the unknown concentration of the substance by using the known concentration of the substance. And whatever the substances means, for what substance we want to know the concentration. So for what substance we want to know the concentration is titrate, and the already known concentration means the known concentration of the substance is known as titrant. So this analysis has to be done in the conical flask means two solutions. What are the two solutions? First one is the known concentration. Second one is the unknown concentration of the solution should be react in the conical flask. So one of the solution should be taken in the burette. Another solution should be taken in the titration flask is nothing but conical flask. So whatever the process in which the known concentration and the unknown concentration solutions are made react with each other, that process is known as titration. So at what point we got the result? Now at particular point we will get the result. So that particular point is known as end point or equivalent point. So how we can able to recognize that we got the result means we are using the separate substances known as indicators. So if we use the indicator means there will be the color change of the solution. So if the color change occurred in the solution means we can able to know that we got the end point. And also there will maybe the some of the errors will be occur. So that errors is known as titration errors. And sometimes the errors may occur because if we won't use a proper indicator also we will get the errors. Next, conditions for the volumetric analysis means which conditions we have to follow for the volumetric analysis. So estimation by the volumetric analysis is only the feasible if the reaction involves the further following conditions. So first one, the chemical reaction must be simple and should take place quantitatively according to a definite equation to form known products, and it should represent by the chemical reaction. Second one, the reaction must be instantaneous under the experimental conditions maintained. Third one is the reaction should take essential to completion under the experimental condition maintained. Fourth one, the end point should be well defined either between the reacting substances or by the use of an indicator. So the conditions are: first one, the chemical reaction must be simple and should take place quantitatively according to definite equation to form the known products. Means the chemical reaction should be very simple, and also the at the end whatever the products is formed means the unknown product should be formed. So the chemical reaction should be very simple, and also the known product should be formed, and it should represent by the chemical reaction. So whatever the product we got, that product should be represented by the chemical reaction. And also this reaction should be instantaneous under the experimental condition should be maintained. And also reaction should take place essential to completion under the experimental condition maintained. Means for conducting of the experiment, the proper conditions should be maintained. So if there is a proper condition, if we maintain the proper condition, means we can able to get the good result. And also the endpoint should be well defined. Means the endpoint should be in the definite manner, either between reacting the substances or by using the indicator. So these are the conditions should be followed for the volumetric analysis. Next, terms in the volumetric analysis means what are the terms we are going to use in the volumetric analysis. First one is titrate. The substance to be determined means whatever the substance, if we want to know the concentration of the substance, means we don't know the concentration of that substance, so we have to determine it. So the substance to be determined is known as titrate. The known concentration of the substance is known as titrate. So the process of determining means titration. So unknown substance, the substance used to determine is means determined means we don't know the what is that substance. So it is used to the substance to determine is titrate, and the unknown concentration is the titrate. So whatever the process used to know the volume, determining the volume is known as titration. So the end point means the point at which the reaction is completed is known as end point. Means at what point the reaction is completed and at what point we are going to get the result, means that is the end point. Indicator means the substances it is used to detect the end point of the titration is known as indicator. So this indicator used to know whether we got the result or not. Next, standard solution means the solution of known concentration is known as standard solution. See, titrate means the substance to be determined. So we can also call the substance to be determined as a sample solution. Means the sample solution means we don't know the concentration of that sample. So titrate means the sample to substance to be determined means unknown concentration of the substance is titrate. The known concentration is known as titrant. The process of determining the volume is known as titration, and the point at which the reaction is completed or we are going to get the result is known as end point, and the substances which are used to detect the end point is known as indicator, and the standard solution means the solution of the known concentration is known as standard solution. So these are the terms we are used in volumetric analysis. See here, if you see the titration process, this is the burette. See, this is the burette and this is the conical flask. So in the burette, we are going to take the titrant. So meaning of the titrant means known concentration. So the known concentration of the solution should be taken in the burette, that is titrant. Unknown concentration of the solution should be taken in the conical flask. This is the conical flask. Here we are going to take the unknown concentration of the solution is known as titrate. So if you use the indicator here, when the known concentration in the burette, unknown concentration of the solution in the conical flask will, when it get reacted with each other, and when we add the indicator, at that time what will happen, at particular time the color will be changes. So when the color changes means we can able to know that we got the result, that is the end point. See here in the burette, this is the burette. See, this is the burette. We have to take the known concentration in the burette. So known concentration is the titrant, and unknown concentration we have to take in the conical flask, that is titrate. When we add the indicator and the known concentration of the solution and unknown concentration of the solution are reacted with each other, then at particular point the color solution of the color will be changes. So when the color changes means we can able to know that we got the result, that is the end point. Next, primary standard. So primary solution can be obtained by dissolving the definite weight of the substance having known purity called primary standard. Means primary standard means a standard solution. We can able to prepare the standard solution by dissolving the exact means exact weight of the substance having the known purity called primary standard. Means whatever the definite weight of the substance should having the purities, by using that substance we have to prepare the solution is called primary standard. In a definite volume the solution of the substance can be used as titrant. So primary standards can also be used as a titrant. So means what is the titrant? In earlier slide I have explained, no, titrant means the known concentration of the solution. So titrant means known concentration of the solution that should be taken in the burette. So there are there are substances that can be used as the primary standard substances. First one is example arsenic trioxide, potassium dichromate, potassium bromate and potassium iodide. So these are the substances we can able to use as a primary standard. So primary standard is nothing but we have to prepare the solution by taking the definite weight of the substance knowing its purity called primary standard in the definite volume. So we have to take the exact weight of the substance, means whatever the substance we are going to take, that substance in the exact weight we have to take, and also we have to prepare the solution in the exact volume. So we can able to say it as the primary standard. So this solution can also be used as the titrant. So what is the titrant means? Titrant meaning is the known concentration of the solution. So primary standard is also the known concentration because we are taking the exact weight. Whatever the weight we want means that weight we are taking. So it is also called as the known concentration. So this known concentration we have to take in the burette. And what are the examples are there? Arsenic trioxide, potassium dichromate, potassium bromate and potassium iodide. What are there? Arsenic trioxide, potassium dichromate, potassium bromate and potassium iodide. So properties, it is high purity and stability and low hygroscopic in nature. Hygroscopicity meaning is the substances when they are exposed to the atmosphere means they will absorb the moisture content from the atmosphere and they will change its nature. Means if the substance is exposed to the atmosphere, so at that time it will what in the moisture they will, sorry, in the atmosphere there will be the moisture content. So moisture content means the water. So in the atmosphere there will be the moisture content. So some substances will be absorbed its moisture content from the atmosphere and it will changes its nature, means some substances will be changes from the solid to the liquid form. So if we see the primary standard, it is a low hygroscopic in nature and also high equivalent weight, means we can able to avoid the errors, and it is non-toxic in nature, means it does not cause any harm to the person, those who are handling this primary standard, and it is very cheap. So properties are, it is high purity, stability, low hygroscopic in nature, So it is the high purity, stability, low hygroscopic in nature, and it is also having the high equivalent weight, non-toxic in nature, and cheaply availability. Next, secondary stranded. So secondary stranded is a chemical. It has been used against the primary stranded for the specific analysis. So secondary stranded commonly used to calibrate the analytical methods. So secondary standards is a substance which may be used. What are there? Sodium hydroxide, sodium chloride, and sodium carbonate. So this secondary standard is used against standardized against the primary standard. For in order to calibrate the analytical method, means it is used to know whether the analytical method is right or wrong, whether there are any errors are present in the method. So mainly secondary standard is used to know, it is used to calibrate the analytical method. So the substances means whatever the substances we are used as a secondary standard, that is sodium hydroxide, sodium chloride, and sodium carbonate. And properties are it has a less purity when we compared with the primary standard. So when we compare the primary and the secondary standard, the primary standard is more purity and secondary standard has the less purity. So it is less stable and more reactive than the primary standard, but it remains stable for the long time. Next. Next one is methods of expressing the concentration in analysis, volumetric analysis. So briefly introduction about the methods of expressing concentration in the volumetric analysis. So in volumetric analysis, various concentration we are used. That is normality, molarity, mole fraction, etc. So what are the concentration terms we are used to? Normality, molarity, mole fraction, etc. So if we see all of this concentration, then normality and morality are we are using more frequently, we are using to express the concentration, that is normality and morality. So normality, let's see what is the meaning and definition and formula. So let's see what is the definition and the formula of the normality. So it is defined as the number of gram equivalent weight of solute present in 1 liter of the solution. So its definition is number of gram equivalent weight of solute present in 1 liter of solution. So how much amount of the weight of this substance we are taking, it should be dissolved in the 1 liter of the solution. So gram equivalent weight of the solute present in 1 liter of the solution. So it is represented by capital N. So if you see this formula, N is equal to gram equivalent weight of the solute by volume of the solution present, it should be taken in liters. So formula is gram equivalent weight of the solute by volume of the solution. The solution should be calculated in the liters form. And next one is weight by equivalent weight into 1000 by volume in milliliters. ml means milliliters. So if you see the first formula, gram equivalent weight of the solute by volume of the solution in the liters. So this formula we are using mainly in the case that if we know how much amount of the substance we are taking and in how much liters of the solution we are mixing. So if you know the quantity of the solute and the volume of the solution, and if we don't know the normality, means for that process we are using the first one. So first formula, that is gram equivalent weight of the solute by volume of the solution in the liters. So this formula is mainly used to know the normality of the solution. Means we know the weight of the substance, how much weight of the substance we are going to take, in how much liters we are going to mix that substance, so that we know, but we don't know the normality. So for that process we are using the first one. If second formula means we are using that we know the normality, but we don't know how much weight of the substance we are going to take. So for that process we are using the second formula, that is weight by equivalent weight into 1000 by volume ml. So equivalent weight, how we can able to calculate means molar mass by N. So these are the formulas. So normality is defined as the gram equivalent weight of the solute present in 1 liter of the solution. So it is mainly represented by the capital letter N. Formula is gram equivalent weight of the solute by volume of the solution. Second one is weight by equivalent weight into 1000 by volume in milliliters. So the first formula is mainly used to calculate that how much amount of the weight we are going to require for this solution. Means we know the normality. For example, if we want the 0.5 normality or 0.1 normality, for that normality how much weight of the substance we have to take, that we don't know. So in order to calculate how much weight of the substance we have to take, for that we have to choose the first formula. And second formula means we know the weight of the substance, but we don't know what is the normality of the solution. So in order to know the normality of the solution, we should take the second formula. First formula, it is used to know how much weight of the substance we have to take. For that process, we have to take the first formula. See, for example, we have to prepare the zero point 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide. See here, if we want to prepare the 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide. So 0.1 means how much quantity of the sodium hydroxide, means how much grams of the sodium hydroxide we have to take, that we don't know. So by using this formula, we can able to know that how much weight of the sodium hydroxide should be taken to prepare the 0.1 normality. See here, the formula is N equal to gram equivalent weight of the solute by volume of the solution. Formula is N is equal to gram equivalent weight of the solute by volume of solution. So we have to know the gram equivalent weight. So what is a gram equivalent weight of the solute? So what solute we are going to take here? Sodium hydroxide. So we have to identify the gram equivalent weight of the sodium hydroxide. So sodium hydroxide formula is NaOH. So the molecular formula for the sodium hydroxide is NaOH. So Na means sodium, OH means hydroxide. So the molecular weight of the sodium is 23 and molecular weight of the oxygen is 16, and hydrogen, only one hydrogen is there, so it is 1. So molecular weight of the sodium 23, Na is the sodium. So molecular weight of the sodium is 23, molecular weight of the oxygen is 16, and molecular weight of the hydrogen is 1. So if we add these three members, means that is 23 plus 16 plus 1. So we will get the 40. So the gram equivalent weight of the sodium hydroxide is 40. So one normality of the sodium hydroxide means if we mix the 40 grams of the sodium hydroxide in the 1000 ml of water or 1 liter of water, means we will get the one normality. So one normality means when we dissolve the 40 grams. So when we dissolve the 40 grams of sodium hydroxide in 1000 ml of water or 1 liter of solution, so it is the one normality. So we what we want the normality, what I have asked in the question, means what 0.1 normality we required. See, in the solution question, what is there, we require the 0.1 normality. So we have to calculate it for 0.1 normality. So for the 0.1 normality, how much quantity we have to take, that we don't know. So we have to do the calculation. See here, 40 grams of the sodium hydroxide is dissolved in 1 liter, means 1 normality. So we don't know the how much grams of the sodium hydroxide should be dissolved in 1 liter to get the 0.1 normality. Means we have to do the cross multiplication. Means like this. 40 grams into 0.1 normality by 1 means 4 grams we got. So we have to dissolve the 4 grams of the sodium hydroxide in 1000 liters of water to get 0.1 normality. See, I will explain it again. We want the 0.1 normality sodium hydroxide solution. So here in the solution we have to use this formula. N is equal to gram equivalent weight of the solute by volume of the solution. So first we have to know the gram equivalent weight of the sodium hydroxide. So the molecular formula is NaOH. What is the formula NaOH? So the molecular weight of the sodium is 23, molecular weight of the oxygen is 16, and molecular weight of the hydrogen is 1. So if we do the addition, that is 23 plus 16 plus 1 means we got the gram equivalent weight is 40. So if we dissolve the 40 grams of the sodium hydroxide, 40 grams of the sodium hydroxide in 1000 ml means 1 liter. So it is the 1 normality, but we require the 0.1 normality. So 40 grams of sodium hydroxide in 1 liter is 1 normality. And we don't know the gram how much amount of sodium hydroxide should be taken to get the 0.1 normality. So we have to do the cross multiplication. So that is 40 into 0.1 by 1. So we got the 4 grams. So we have to dissolve the 4 grams of the sodium hydroxide in 1000 or 1000 ml or 1 liter of the solution. Second one, how do we prepare 1000 ml of 0.1 normal, 100 ml of 0.1 normal oxalic acid solution. So here we require the 0.1 normal oxalic acid solution, that too in the 100 ml, not the 1000 ml. In the 100 ml, by using the 100 ml solution, we require the 0.1 normality oxalic acid. So here we are using the formula. N is equal to gram equivalent weight of the solute by volume of solution. So oxalic acid is mainly available in the dibasic form. It is mainly available in the dibasic form in the crystalline solution. So its molecular formula is C2H2O4 and two water molecules. 2H2O means 2 water molecules. So formula is C2H2O4 2H2O. 2H2O means 2 water molecules. So the gram equivalent weight of the oxalic acid is 63. How means the molecular weight of the oxalic acid is 126. So here how many hydrogen atoms are there? So protons, always remember one thing whenever anyone is asking the protons. So what are the protons? How many numbers of protons are present in any compound means if any person give the compound and whether they are asking the how many protons are there means don't get confusion. The protons means hydrogen. So hydrogen atoms. Protons means hydrogen atoms. In the compound we have to see the how many hydrogen atoms are there means that is equal to the number of protons present in the compound. So here how many hydrogens are there? 2. So 126 by 2 means 63 grams. So we got the gram equivalent weight of the oxalic acid is 63. So see here total number of protons in the oxalic acid is 2. Means 2 hydrogens are there. So one normality of the oxalic acid, how we can able to prepare means 63 grams of oxalic acid is dissolved in 1000 ml or 1 liter of solution. But we want not for the 1000 ml, no. We want only for the 100 ml solution. So How we can calculate the 63 grams of oxalic acid when we dissolve in 1 liter means 1 normality. So if you reduce to the 100 ml means the grams of the oxalic acid will also decreases. So if we do the cross multiplication, that is 63 into 100 by 1000. 1 liter means 1000 ml. So if we do the calculation means we got 6.3 grams. So we have to dissolve the 6.3 grams of oxalic acid in 100 ml means 1 normality, but we want the 0.1 normality. So we have to do the cross multiplication, that is 6.3 into 0.1 by 0.1 by 1. So how much we got? 0.63 grams. So we have to dissolve the 0.63 grams of oxalic acid in 100 ml of solution to got the 0.1 normality. See, I will explain it again. We want the 0.1 normal oxalic acid solution. So not for the 1000 ml means we should not prepare the solution for the 1000 ml. Just we have to prepare the solution for the 100 ml. So formula is N is equal to gram equivalent weight of the solute by volume of solution. So we have to know the gram equivalent weight of the oxalic acid. So the oxalic acid always available in the form of the dibasic acid. So formula is C2H2O4, 2 molecules of the water. So the gram equivalent weight of the oxalic acid is 63. So how we got the 63 value means molecular weight. So the molecular weight of the oxalic acid is 126. And if you see here, the hydrogen atoms, how many are there? How many proton atoms are there means 2. So by 2, we got 63 grams. So when we dissolve the 63 grams of oxalic acid in 1000 ml means we got the 1 normality, but we required for the 100 ml, not for 1000 ml. So we have to reduce the solution quantity to the 100 ml. So by doing this cross multiplication, that is 63 by 100 by 1000. So 1000 means 1 liter is equal to 1000 ml. So here we got 6.3 grams. So 6.3 grams should be dissolved in 100 ml of water means 100 ml of solution. We got 1 normality, but we require the 0.1 normality. So we have to do the cross multiplication, that is 6.3 into 0.1 by 1. So we got 0.63 grams. So we have to dissolve the 0.63 grams of oxalic acid in 100 ml of solution. So in 2 problems what we have done, that we know the normality. See, here we know the normality, but we don't know how much quantity we have to take for that normality. So here we know the normality, but we don't know the weight of the compound. But here we know the weight of the compound. See here 0.98 grams we are going to take. So we know the weight of the compound, but we don't know the normality. So we don't know the normality of the compound, but we know the weight. So how we can able to calculate this problem? Let's see. So if we have the 0.98 grams of sulfuric acid present in 500 ml of solution, but we don't know the normality. We have to find out the normality of the solution. So by using this formula. So here what is the formula? Molecular formula for sulfuric acid is H2SO4. So if we see the H2SO4, how many hydrogen protons are there? That is 2. And the gram molecular weight of the sulfuric acid is 49. How means C? The molecular weight of the sodium is 23. How many sodium atoms are there? 1. So 23 into 1 is 23. And molecular weight of the oxygen is 16. How many oxygen atoms are there? See here in the H2SO4, 4 oxygen atoms are there. So 16 into 4 is 64. And molecular weight of the hydrogen is 1. So we have the 2 hydrogen atoms, that is 2. So if we do the total means 2 plus 32 plus 64 by 2. So here 2 value is nothing but how many hydrogen atoms are present. So we have to divide with 2, that we got 49. So gram equivalent weight of the sulfuric acid is 49. So we have to insert this formula in this. So we have to insert these values in this formula, that is weight by equivalent weight into 1000 by volume. See here 0.98 by 49. So in the solution they gave the gram equivalent weight. How many grams we are to take? We are going to take, that is 0.98. See here 0.98 we took, and 49 is the equivalent weight of the compound. So 49, so 0.98 by 49 by in how much amount of solution we are dissolving, that is 500 ml. So 500 by 1000. So if we do the calculation like this, see here we have to remove the one of the decimal. After the decimal, two values are there. So here we have to add the two zeros, and here two zeros, here two zeros will get cancelled. So here 49 1 ja, 49 2 ja is 98. So we got the 2 by 1 by 50 by 1. So if we do this calculation, we got the 0.04 normality. See here, I will explain it again. In the question, they gave the grams. So 0.98 grams of sulfuric acid is present in 500 ml of solution, but we have to find the normality. So the gram equivalent weight of the sulfuric acid is 49. So if you see the structure, molecular formula, H2SO4, two hydrogen protons are there, and molecular weight of the proton sodium is 23. So only one sodium atom is there. So it is 23 into 1 is 23. And molecular weight of the oxygen is 16 into 4. So 4 oxygen molecules are there. So 16 into 4 is 64. And 2 hydrogen atoms are there. So the molecular weight of the hydrogen is 1. So 1 into 2 is equal to 2. So equivalent mass means the total molecular weight by number of protons present in the compound. So 2 plus 32 plus 64 by 2. We got 49. So the gram equivalent weight of the sulfuric acid is 49. So in the question, they gave the 0.98 grams and 49 is the gram equivalent weight by 500 means in the question they gave, no, we are going to prepare the solution in the 500 ml by 1000. So if we do the calculation, we got the 0.04 normality. So that is the answer for this solution question.